When last we left our intrepid adventurers, the party is left to discuss what just happened. They talk about what the goddess meant, but then they realize that gods move in mysterious ways. They move off the road and rest for the night. The party continues traveling the next day in the mountains. They hear the sound of music and smell cooked food. Cautiously they approach and find at the summit a small village, maybe 6 to 7 buildings near the road. The place looks new and clean. The village is situated on a T intersection on the road that they're traveling on. The bar is a partial building with a huge canvas roof. Entering the bar, they see that all the furniture is extremely rough, and the stage, which a local is singing on, is a converted wagon. They find out from the barkeep that one of the other roads, the northern one, does indeed go to Gaul, while the other, the east-western path that they're following, goes to a town called Two Roads, and then to the famed Silvian Way, which is named for Jacanis Silvia I. The village that they're in is a brand new village, built by carting walls and such from Gaul. The village is called Deborah's Hold, named after the innkeeper's daughter, he says, and the bar is called the Heavy Horse. Morgan waits for the barkeep to move on before discounting what they were told. Marcus agrees that this place is highly suspicious. The party stays on high alert through the night. The next morning, when they come into the common room for breakfast, they meet an old friend, Daniel the Black. Daniel is a brother in the guild that Keberdane belongs to. The magician greets them, asking about their health and such. He tells them that he has just come from the eastern road, and it was thick with Grand Shish, wolves, and giants all the way back to Two Roads. He says that the creatures are the remains of the vampire Lord Medorus's army, which was scattered by the players and has turned to banditry. They ask him if he knows if Kodai is free of Deseradan troops or not. Unfortunately, he says he came from the very far east, so he doesn't know. The party asks Daniel what he knows about the village they're in. They say that they're highly suspicious about the place. He gives them a knowing look and asks that they leave it alone. The party really wants to find out what's going on, but they trust Daniel and decide to prepare for the continuation of their journey. They purchase supplies and head on towards Two Roads Village, which is 4 days away. The first day was uneventful. As the party moved, though, they encountered debris on the side of the road, consisting primarily of broken wagons and cart animal remains. As they camped for the night, they set up watches and then went to an uneasy sleep. The next day, the group came to a fairly recent caravan wreckage. On the edges of the road were small groups of bodies. It looked like the caravan guards had been forced to make their last stand near the edge of a copse of trees. Ranging a bit ahead, Paladin Marcus found heavy cavalry prints over part of the more numerous giant and Grand Shish prints. While Akai was searching for clues on the opposite side of the road, she discovered a human who'd been hiding under a pile of brush. Despite being hungry and scratched up, the man was in good shape. He identified himself as Biz Caravan Master Lannon of the Eastern Desert. Lannon described the attack by a group of wolves, giants, and Grand Shish that surprised the caravan while it was on the move. Originally, he had run off into the trees and hid. When he returned, the battle was over and everybody was dead. So he was gathering things up when he heard the sound of horses. He thought it might be additional raiders, so he hid again. From his hiding place, he saw that it was heavy cavalry soldiers. By the time he got up enough courage to come out, the soldiers had ridden away. He said that the horsemen all bore the symbol of Desiderata. Morgan looks like she doesn't believe his story, but doesn't say anything. Further questioning of Alanin failed to reveal anything else. He offered the characters a cut of the cargo if they helped him get to Deborah's hold. That's where the party was coming from. He told them that everything he had in the world had been invested in his share of the caravan. With the party's help, he might be able to save something of his investment. Although intrigued by the possibility of easy money, the party declined since their mission took them in the opposite direction. Lannon put together a bit of a kit from the dead while the party finishes burying the corpses. Lannon says that he needs to get something from a compartment in one of the wagons. He pulls out a sheaf of parchment and gave them to Morgan. On the parchment are drawings of both Morgan and Marcus, with descriptions of the rest of the party. These wanted posters accused both of them with treason against the throne of Desiderata and other unspeakable acts. Lannon tells the party that the caravan master had been given these at the trading post called Red Jack. He was asked to pass them out at the villages on their way. The party is somewhat amused by the charges made by the posters. Camperdane says that Kodai might not be such a good place to go after all. Lannon then bids them goodbye and walks off to the west. Around evening, there's a sudden rain of rocks. A group of Grand Shish and several giants attack the group. Seraph gets hit by one of the rocks, but gets back up and charges the Grand Shish that are threatening to swarm them. Camperdane and Scala duel the rock-throwing giants with fireballs, and soon the giants are running away on fire. Marcus and Morgan fight some of the Grand Shish with staff and sword, and Akai gets hit a couple of times and is forced to use the Grey Mother's healing power to stay on her feet. The creatures retreat into the high rocks, and the party warily moves on. After a couple more days, they get closer to Two Roads. They come across a man standing in the middle of the road. The man introduces himself as Ulysses and has no idea where he is. The party introduces themselves and offers to let him join the party at least as far as Two Roads. They arrive. Two Roads is a small caravan stop on the hard pass. There are some plantings and various crops inside a low wall that surrounds two sides of the village. There's also a small stream that flows from the higher parts of the mountain. A couple of surly guards at the entrance collect a small toll from the group. Akai wants to protest, but Marcus says it's okay, and he pays the fee. Strolling down the road, they come to the only inn in the town. It's called the Laughing Dog. From the outside, it looks like a typical caravan bar. Once inside, they see that it is spacious, but currently devoid of customers, since they're between caravans. Taking up a small booth, the party orders food and drink and considers their next course of action. Since they found the wanted posters of themselves, everyone agrees that keeping a low profile is probably best, so they're not going to spend too much time in the village, just a quick meal and then travel on. Their repast is interrupted by a haggard-looking man who says he knows Morgan. He says that he met her in a dream just last night and has a proposition for them. The man sits down and pours himself a drink from the communal jug. He introduces himself as Lanimir. He says that sometimes he's a holy man. It depends on which way the wind is blowing. He gives Seraph a knowing wink. He says it would be best for the group if they accompanied him out of the bar so as not to be seen by the militia captain, Piotr, who is due in at any minute. Lanimir says that the village of Two Roads is haunted by a creature known as the Taker. Whatever it is, the monster steals people, and they're never heard from again. The taker strikes randomly, sometimes taking 2 people in a week, other times going for a month without striking. Landmere tells them that if they will agree to help him hunt down the taker, he will show them a magical rock formation known as Sleep's Furrowed Brow, where they can get a glimpse of their possible futures. Seraph asks about the militia. Landmere says that Captain Petor is more interested in strutting around in a cast-off infantry uniform than actually doing anything. Landmere says that he wouldn't be surprised if Petor is in on the taker's crimes. Landmere leads them out the back of the bar and through the olive groves. They come across a graveyard, and he says that this is the place he believes the taker dwells. The graveyard shows years of neglect. Headstones broken, gopher holes in the earth. They come to a small mausoleum. Its doors have been ripped off the hinges. Ulysses notices that the mausoleum is actually built just off the grounds of the graveyard, so it's not officially on sanctified ground.